Aye, greetings, travellers. Pull up a stool, make yourself comfortable. The name's Arthur, hunter of Ironforge, tracker of beasts and survivor of more foolish decisions than I care to count. I've wandered from the frozen peaks of Dunmorroch to the steaming jungles of Stranglethorn, fought alongside heroes and idiots alike, and lived to tell the tales. Some call me Eyes, others call me Lucky. Most just call me when they need something shot with an arrow. But tonight, you don't need to call me anything except your storyteller. So settle in, grab yourself a pint if you haven't already, and let me take you on a journey through some of the most ridiculous, dangerous, and downright bizarre adventures this old dwarf has ever had. I've got some stories to tell you, folks. So there I was, 3 sheets to the wind in a tavern in Booty Bay, arm-wrestling a troll who claimed he could drink any dwarf under the table. And before ye ask how this ends, let me back up a bit, because this whole mess started because of a gnome, a miscommunication, and what might have been the worst business deal in the history of Azeroth. About 6 months back, I'm minding me own business in Ironforge, cleaning me rifle, when this gnome named Sprocket Whistle comes running up to me, all excited like yelling, about a business proposition. And first rule of dealing with gnomes is if they're excited about something, it's probably gonna explode. But did I remember that rule? Course not. I was bored, low on gold, and he was offering what sounded like easy money. The job was simple. Escort him to Stranglethorn Vale, guard him while he acquires some rare materials, bring him back safe. 500 gold. Easy, right? Wrong, because first problem was that Sprocket Whistle didn't mention that by acquire he meant steal from a heavily guarded pirate cove. Second problem was he didn't mention these pirates were very serious about their treasure. And third problem, the kicker. He didn't mention he'd already tried this twice before and owed these pirates money. So we get to Booty Bay. I'm thinking we're just gonna meet some merchant contacts, maybe have a nice seafood dinner. Instead, the moment we walk into the first tavern, this massive pirate makes me look like a beardling, points at Sprocket Whistle and yells, "That's the gnome what owes us 3,000 gold. And Sprocket Whistle looks at me with these big innocent eyes and says, "Did I forget to mention that part?" Now, I'm many things, but I'm not gonna abandon a client, even a lying wee gnome, so I do what any sensible dwarf would do. I challenge the biggest pirate to an arm-wrestling contest, winner takes all. Either Sprocket Whistle's debt is forgiven, or I work it off myself. Seemed like a good idea at the time. The pirate was the troll I mentioned. Name was Zul'jin. Not that Zul'jin different, one common name apparently. And this troll had been arm-wrestling champion of Booty Bay for 7 years running. So there we are, arms locked on the table, entire tavern gathered round, Sprocket Whistle hiding under a chair. And this troll is grinning at me with these gold teeth, right? Match starts, and I'll tell you something, I thought me arm was gonna snap like a twig. This troll was strong. But here's the thing about us dwarves, we're stubborn, pig-headed stubborn. The kind of stubborn that'd make a mountain look flexible. And we're locked there for 20 minutes, sweat pouring down, arms shaking, crowd going absolutely mental. And just when I think I can't hold on another second, Sprocket Whistle detonates a smoke bomb in a packed tavern. Chaos, absolute chaos. People screaming, tables flipping, drinks everywhere. And in the confusion, Sprocket Whistle grabs me hand, and we run like our beards are on fire. We made it back to Ironforge eventually. Never did get me 500 gold. Never went back to Booty Bay for 6 months. And you know what the worst part was? Found out later that Sprocket Whistle used the materials he stole to build a mechanical chicken. A chicken that didn't even work. But that's gnomes for you. And that reminds me of another time I got roped into something I had no business being involved in. This one involves romance, or what passes for romance when you're dealing with adventurers. See, I had this friend, let's call him Borin Stonefist, protection warrior, good lad, thick as a brick but loyal. Anyway, Borin falls head over heels for this human priestess in Stormwind. Beautiful woman, healed like an angel, completely out of his league. But Borin, bless him, decides he's gonna win her heart and asks me to help him write a love letter. Now, I'm a hunter. I track animals and shoot things. Poetry ain't exactly me strong suit. But Borin's desperate, and we've saved each other's lives a dozen times. So I figure I owe him. We spent 3 hours in the Stonefire Tavern, going through draft after draft. I'm trying to make him sound romantic, but not creepy. Sophisticated, but not pretentious. Harder than negotiating a peace treaty, I swear. And finally, we've got something decent. Something about your light guides me through the darkest dungeons, and your healing touch mends more than just me wounds. You get the idea. Flowery stuff, and Borin copies it out in his best handwriting, which ain't saying much, and sends it off with a courier. 3 days later, I'm in Stormwind myself, delivering some pelts to the auction house when I see Borin's priestess walking hand in hand with a paladin, and she's gushing about this beautiful letter she received from the paladin. Turns out, the courier we hired delivered the letter to the wrong person. Gave it to this paladin, some pretty boy named Arathorn or Aragorn or something fancy, who just assumed it was from him, read it, decided he agreed with the sentiments, and gave it to the priestess as his own words. So now Borin's heartbroken, this paladin is taking credit for our poetry, and the priestess thinks she's found her soulmate. But wait, it gets better. Borin in his heartbreak gets absolutely plastered at the tavern and tells this whole story to anyone who'll listen, which includes a gnomish newspaper reporter, because apparently those exist, who publishes the entire story, including the actual letter, in the Stormwind Gazette, front page. Warrior's love letter, lost paladin, profits from postal error. So now everyone in Stormwind knows the priestess is furious, the paladin is humiliated, Borin's a laughingstock. And me? Me name is in the paper as the ghostwriter. So now everyone is coming to me asking for help with their own love letters. I had a line outside me door in Ironforge. A mage wanting to woo a warlock. A rogue trying to romance a death knight. It was madness. You know what the worst part is? Borin still didn't get the girl, but the priestess's sister, a warrior herself, read the article and thought the whole thing was hilarious. She and Borin have been married 3 years now, so I guess it worked out in the end just not the way anyone planned, and that, friends, is why I never get involved in other people's love lives anymore. Track a dragon, sure. Fight the scourge, absolutely. Help someone write a love letter, not if ye paid me 1,000 gold. Which brings me to another story about the time I accidentally started a guild war over a fishing pole. Aye, you heard that right, a fishing pole. So I'm in Stranglethorn again. Different trip, mind ye. Learned me lesson about gnomes by this point. And I'm just relaxing by the river fishing for some deviate fish, enjoying the sunshine, when I hook something heavy, really heavy, and I'm thinking maybe it's one of those rare fish that sell for a fortune. So I'm reeling, and what comes up? A boot, just a soggy old boot. But attached to this boot is a note in a bottle. And the note says, and I quote, "The treasure of Captain Ironbeard lies beneath the twisted tree where X marks the spot. Signed a friend. Now any sensible person would have thrown this back, figured it was some kind of prank. But I'm a dwarf, and we can't resist treasure. It's literally in our blood." So I spend the next 4 hours searching for twisted trees, and eventually I find one. Got an X carved into the ground nearby, and I start digging and digging and digging. And just when I'm about to give up, I hit something solid, a chest, a real honest-to-goodness treasure chest, and inside is the most beautiful fishing pole I've ever seen, enchanted, glowing with blue light, probably worth a small fortune, and I'm celebrating thinking this is the best day ever, when suddenly I hear someone yelling, "Oi, that's guild property!" Turns out, the chest belonged to a guild called the Salty Sea Dogs. They'd buried it there as part of some recruitment event, and they're not happy that I've just made off with their grand prize. But here's the thing, finders keepers, right? That's adventurer law, so I tell them as much and they're not having it. Their guild leader, a night elf hunter with an attitude problem, demands I return it immediately, and I say no. And she says yes, and I say no again. And before ye know it, it escalates. She reports me to her entire guild. They put a bounty on me head, and suddenly I've got salty sea dogs attacking me on sight all across Azeroth. Now I can't go to Stranglethorn without getting ganked. I'm getting hate mail. Someone put up wanted posters with me, face on 'em in Booty Bay. And all this over a fishing pole. So me own guild, the Hammered Tankards, decides to back me up because that's what guildies do, and now we've got a full-on war. Hammered Tankards versus Salty Sea Dogs, battles in Stranglethorn, fights outside Ironforge, drama on the forums. It was insane. This went on for 3 weeks, 3 entire weeks of warfare, and ye know how it ended? The guild leaders met in a tavern to negotiate peace, and it turns out they used to date. I, the night elf hunter, and our guild leader, a human warrior. They'd been in a relationship 2 years prior, and it ended badly. And all this fishing pole business was just them working out their unresolved romantic tension through proxy warfare. They talked it out, decided to be civil, called off the war, and I got to keep the fishing pole as a peace offering, still have it to this day, named it Drama after all the trouble it caused, and that is why I don't trust treasure maps anymore. Also why I avoid night elf hunters. And definitely why I think twice before I go fishing in Stranglethorn. But the best part, the absolute best part, is that a year later, the 2 guild leaders got back together, merged the guilds into one called the Hammered Sea Dogs. Terrible name, if you ask me. And now everyone's friends, and they laugh about the great fishing pole war like it was all some grand adventure. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here thinking, I just wanted to catch some fish, and ended up starting a war. That's adventurer life for ye. Never a dull moment, always some kind of chaos. And somehow ye always end up right in the middle of it, whether ye like it or not. Speaking of which, let me tell you about the time I got cursed by a warlock over a misunderstanding about a sheep. But that's for a different time. I've already spoke too much to ye. My mouth needs a brew. Until next time, friends, may your arrows fly true, your beasts stay loyal, and may ye never ever trust a treasure map found in a boot.